Hey guys, Ryobi came out with a new impact wrench. It might not be the high torque model that you're looking for, but I think this new system is going to be a huge step forward for Ryobi. We're gonna go through that and much more. Stay tuned. So what the heck am I talking about with this new upgrade? First, I guess Ryobi introduced the HP line, which they're gonna call the high performance line, which at this point doesn't make a lot of sense because they have the HP batteries that are larger, but currently this HP line that's come out is smaller tools with a small HP battery. Little bit different from what's out there, but I think what this HP is going to stand for long term might be a little bit different than the tools that they have out now. Heck, I could be wrong, I don't know, but all I know is I have 5 of these small tools to go over, and I'm trying to put 2 and 2 together to make some sense as to what's happening. The reason why I think this is going to be huge is because of the electronics that are inside. Reading through the instruction manual, you now have an LED light on the outside that's going to blink multiple times to tell you different things that are happening in the tool as far as an overload, a temperature issue, or anything like that. So Ryobi's actually going to stop the tool and say, hey, something's going on, like the bigger brother and sister that TTI makes. So I think it's going to save more tools, and you might not have casualties of war like this one that just started smoking. So the size difference, as you could see, standard new Ryobi drill. Here's the HP line, significantly smaller. And what I have in front of me here is their new 3/8 inch impact wrench and their new impact driver. They look very, very similar and share a lot of specs. The new impact wrench is 0 to 2900 RPM and 0 to 3800 IPM. Exactly the same as the impact driver. So what's the difference? The impact wrench obviously has a different anvil, and the impact driver has a 1/4 inch hex on the front. They both have an LED light. The impact driver, unfortunately, is missing the 3 modes that you have on the impact wrench. So I say 3 modes, it's actually 4, but the 4th mode is the auto, so it doesn't change a whole lot except for when you're tightening something going in and then it stops impacting immediately, or if you're removing something, it'll remove it by impacting and then stop when it stops impacting. So why put it on the impact wrench but not on the impact driver? I don't know. I think the impact driver would benefit from those 4 modes since they're basically the same tool with a different head. Can't get in there. Leave some comments. I'm hoping Ryobi will watch some of this and maybe tell us why, or implement this in another feature down the road. I'm not sure, but I like impact drivers that have the different modes. I use that constantly. My impact wrenches, I don't mind the different modes, but I don't use the auto ever. I just use this trigger finger, get used to it, old school, whatever it is. But what they've changed on this that makes me a little more excited is the grip. It's no longer this gray, hard rubber overmold. It's now a little bit more of a black. It's softer overmold. This is a plastic up top. Don't get too excited that we got rubber up top. It's just plastic. But at the same point, it feels a lot better in my hand. The small 1.5 amp hour HP batteries now have a fuel gauge, which is, to me, huge. I hate it when all these small, just little batteries don't have a fuel gauge on them, and I go to pick them up, put them in, and get a little frustrated when you got one that's dead. But either way, that's a big thing. Why do I have this DeWalt here? This DeWalt is my current go-to. My go-to changes. I know a lot of you guys hate that my go-to changes, but when I find something I like better, I switch to it. This has been it for installations and removing stuff. I do not use it for lug nuts or anything like that, and I will test this on a lug nut in a minute. Size-wise, Ryobi's not too far away. That's good, especially since if you're in the Ryobi line, you can use any of the Ryobi batteries with this. 165 foot-pounds max, 200 foot-pounds max out of the DeWalt. So the DeWalt's smaller and more powerful in basically less modes on the DeWalt, which it's got a high and a low and an auto. I only use high and low. I like that. Either way, let's get into testing this out. I happen to have a truck with the lug nut set perfectly at 165. Let's see if it can remove it. So as we know, the heavier the impact socket to a point, the more power can be exerted through it. This is a shallow well, fairly light impact socket. It's the only one I have that'll fit. I do not have an adapter that would go from 3/8 to half, so I'm just going with it. I quickly want to show you the modes. If you look down here, you can see the bright green. That's an auto 1, 2, and 3. I like how it shows up. I like the button. It feels like decent quality there. You can definitely see it, no issue. The LED light's going to be good. Let's just let this guy impact and see if it'll remove this lug nut. It did move it initially, and I can and am leaving some marks on this. Let's just try another one. I am not surprised. And it's basically because of this impact socket being so light. We'll go one more time. We got one. So not what I would use for removing lugs, definitely. But installations and other things like that inside an engine compartment would definitely be worth it. Now let's talk about the auto mode, since people are going to be interested, right? Never use an impact to put on a lug nut. Except I guess in auto mode, right? So if auto mode's going to go in and then stop once it starts impacting. Boom. If you want it to impact more, push it and it goes. If we go in reverse, it's going to give me full power until it stops impacting, supposedly. See, it did pull this off quite a bit. So it's not as quick on the reverse as it is in forward. So still, if you're into that kind of stuff, that's how most of it works. Obviously, speed 1, speed 2 are just going to be slower RPMs and impacts. But I do like this button. The LED light does work right. And I'm going to see if I can't find some more uses for this guy. There are going to be some people who are going to use this to drive some legs. So let's see how it does on this fairly long leg. See what happens. We obviously split the wood quite a bit there. Something that you would expect with that large of a lag. It's nice to see it go through. Let's pull it out. We know it's going to split this again, but let's give it a try. So the goal here wasn't exactly to split all the wood, but more or less try to see if I was going to get an overload or anything in that situation. Let's pull this guy back out. Not bad, not bad. You know, it's one of those things that it's going to need to be tested long term. Obviously, the short term of it is not going to be something that we're going to be able to just find out initially and say, hey, long term this is going to last. We've pushed other impact drivers similarly, some of the real lower end ones, and they've cut out in that amount of time just pushing on that stuff. So I know it's loud. I know there's a lot more testing to do with this long term. We're going to put this in line with the other impact driver, kind of just do some more long-term testing on it and come back when we go over the whole group as a whole. But until now, we're going to go over each one individually. If you're looking for something that is going to be smaller, get into more places, similar to a subcompact tool, it's not quite subcompact, and they don't call it subcompact, they call it compact. I think it's going to be something good for the Ryobi people to get into. This new electronics that we're talking about might be huge for tool longevity. I'd be real curious for the Ryobi users out there. How many have had one go up in smoke? How many of you guys are looking for the high torque impact wrench, something in 1/2 inch? You know, what are you guys looking for in the new HP tools? What do you want? I think it would be interesting to be able to send an email to Ryobi and say, hey, look at these comments. Look what the people want. What do you think? What can you do about it? Obviously, you have a wide variety of tools to pull from between Milwaukee and Rigid. A lot of technology there, a lot of different things they can do. What can they do for the guys that love Ryobi? As always, guys, we appreciate your time here. Please give us a like, subscribe to the channel. As always, have a great day.